How you doing? This is Chris with Chris's Comments. A site discussing common sense on common ground, no matter what the subject. Now, this isn't a podcast. This isn't a sponsored show. This is just a guy from Nowheresville, San Antonio, Texas, who's a rideshare driver that's just working for a living, throwing these comments out here on his lunch break. I just got done eating, still washing down my food and everything. So, with that, your local driver has got something to bring up. And I can't remember when this actually happened, but it did happen. I turned on the TV last night, saw a news posting, so I clicked on it, and saw my governor, my Texas State Governor Greg Abbott, claiming that he seriously is opposing the child sex offenses that's going on with those little children immigrants that are now here in our borders and here in San Antonio. This guy literally came down here to San Antonio and said that he is disapproving of these sex violations towards the children, the migrant children. And it blew me away. I was like, what? You know, because if any of y'all have been paying attention to my videos, the one titled Biden says he's got it under control. Are you sure about that? What I brought up out of that was the 4,500 cases of sex offenses, particularly towards the children, that took place between 2014 and 2018, and that nobody was doing anything about it. It was all covered up. It was pushed aside. It was all this good stuff. Now, out of nowhere, Greg Abbott comes up. My governor comes down here to San Antonio, and he says he gets a tour of the place and everything like that. It says that he says he disapproves of the sex offenses that have been placed on the children. And then immediately says that all of this needs to be shut down. Biden needs to be shut down, and everything needs to, and Border Patrol needs to be back in control. What? Son of a gun? How do you do this with yourself? It was that bizarre. It was that bizarre. You know? I did not see that coming. This place is a travesty. This is a shamble. We need to put Border Patrol back in control. It's like, hello? All these atrocities were happening while Border Patrol was in control. While it was all being dumped on them, you had kids getting slammed, pushed, slammed up against walls, and then later on, kids coming out saying that they were violated in testimony to investigators. And it was done by the adult male staff, the adult membered faculty staff, okay? It was done by them who were watching over these children from as far back as 2014 to 2018, excuse me. And out of all the wacky things that could have come up, out of all the things that this guy could have said, because this is my governor that already claimed COVID was coming in through these immigrants. You know, this is a guy that said criminals were coming in, drug dealers and rapists and all this other stuff. First off, let's get this. Let me fill you in on what's going on here in San Antonio. Once again, it's boys 13 through 17. Okay, there's only a 4-year gap difference there. All of them with minds of their own and might and muscles and all this good stuff to fight off and make it very clear that something's going down should something be going down over while in the holding facilities. Okay? There's no mistake in anything like that. Nothing to misconstrued or of any sort. So for not just Abbott, but him or anybody to come around and say, hey, we got this crap going on, well, that's a bit of a stretch. Because we're not talking about the little kids like the kind that was on the video where they were no more than 10 years of age getting struck and pushed and, again, slammed into a wall. You know, there's a big difference between those little kids and the teenagers that are here in San Antonio right now. And to top it all off, it was very skeptical that when they said, well, it was only 187 or 178, I'm sorry, adults that was being inappropriate with kids out of the 4,500 cases, you know. Again, which was completely unbelievable given the fact that while they were in those holding cells between 2014 and 2018, while they were in the holding cells to cages, they were freezing, they were malnourished, they weren't receiving any kind of warmth, they were constantly under illumination without any daytime, nighttime, you know, outdoors activities. Some of them hadn't even seen daylight since they were in captivity until they finally got out and then started pleading their cases, their testimonials. You know, the only illumination, it was constant illumination, false light, not letting them sleep. You know, you have these messed up, biological clocks. Nowhere near does anybody see when you're given those kinds of extreme circumstances, child on minor, adult teenager against a minor, a boy on boy violations, like the way the Border Patrol and the people there were claiming. Years have gone by. We're now in 2021, and out of all the whacked out things for my governor to come down and say is that there's child rape going on. And then immediately, let's put the Border Patrol back into control. Let's put the Border Patrol back in charge of this. I think that should be done immediately. That's the most stupid thing. It's stupid insane. It's not just insane, it's stupid insane. Which kind of leads me to, why would he say that? What does he do? What is the purpose of that? Not to be all conspiracy theory, which is where this is more than likely going to lead to. But I figure since a lot of stuff has so many unanswered questions, well then let's go ahead and see if we could, piece together some clues to see if we can get some answers. This is Thursday. Normally this is Chris's comments, but let's call it Chris's Conspiracy Theory Thursday. How about that? Chris's Conspiracy Theory Thursday. And let's start off with the premise of what's going on up in my mind, in Chris's mind, okay? When it comes to understanding politicians, not just my governor, but any and every politician, the government, any political leaders, spiritual leaders, any kind of influence, in this person's mind, this nobody's mind, it's all about the money. Religion is the tool. Okay? It's all about the money. Religion is the tool. A while back, we were told that we're going to have a big border wall, and it's going to be 10 feet higher than it normally is. That costs money. And it turns out a lot of money was skimmed off the top by everybody in charge. And then a year after that extra 10-foot wall was built, it started to collapse. So it was cheaply done. Okay? But it was all backed by believers. Why? Because the believers, it's like a religion. Belief is the tool. Religion is the tool. Everybody backed it up because they believed it would make them safer. Because it believed that it would stop criminals from coming in. Because they believed it would stop any kind of fluctuation of migration, illegal migration. You know, it's all about the money. Religion is the tool. So back to this subject, why would Governor Greg Abbott, why would he do this? Why would he make a wild claim saying that there's rape in this place and then immediately say, let's put the Border Patrol back in control? Why would he do that? Well, looking at it as it's all about the money, religion is the tool, he's more than likely getting some kind of extra pay, extra donations, extra charity contributions, you know, through people who support border control and who have no problem with them caging migrants, even children, and keeping them out of sight and looking the other way while they have their fun, committing problems for the migrants in their holding cells. And the belief is that they feel safer. The people who are backing up Border Patrol, who are backing up Governor Greg Abbott, they feel safer. They feel better knowing that those migrants, even the children, are going through hell while trying to escape the hell that they ran from in their own home countries. Okay? That's a good theory. Since this is Thursday, we'll call it Chris's Conspiracy Theory Thursday. Why would Governor Greg Abbott say that? Now, for those of us who are probably immediately thinking he's part of the offenders, you know, remember this guy's a paraplegic or something like that. He's got a problem that's got him confined to a wheelchair. Does that mean he's well endowed or sexually active? I don't think so. I don't really look into his condition. But does he really have to be in order to make sure that the hell that these kids go through at the border, you know, does he really have to be a part of the human trafficking? Not really. But as long as he's collecting a fair share of profit out of this, that makes more sense. As long as he's got his people backing him up while he does this kind of stuff, trying to put control to the people, to the organization, the Border Patrol in this case, and those that were in charge of holding facilities, because jailing people is big business too. You know, it's 35 to 37,000 tax-paying dollars per inmate. Now, you put in the amount of migrants that are being held in captivity, the 35,000 can stack pretty high. That's big money. And then you go through where it's funneled through, agencies and charitable contributions and such, as we saw with Donald Trump, who scraped money from, skimmed off the top to have giant portraits of himself. As we saw his son, I think it was Eric or Trump or Donald Jr., I can't remember which one, that took from charities to the disabled children. As we see, just a couple of examples right there. To think that somebody who is friends with a guy like Trump, who does business like that, with gerrymandering going on throughout his entire career, because there's been a lot of people that have been migrating down here with Greg Abbott's permission, and businesses that are coming down here tax-free, not paying any taxes once they're set up. And here he is claiming, job growth, production growth, all this good stuff. It doesn't take that much of a genius to see. It doesn't take that much of an expert to see this. A rideshare guy can see this. The people that sit in his car can see this. That he's taking money from every single one of these organizations that take part of the gerrymandering, that take part of the building, that take part of the migration from other states. And to top it all off, to take part in caging and encasing migrants at the border. All of that costs money. And all of that has departments where money can be skimmed off the top, side deals, stuff like that, that make the governor, a heck of a lot happier. He's not happy with this Biden thing. It's obvious, because he doesn't have his hand in the till. Hence the reason why he would say, I think we should have the Border Patrol in complete control. We should shut down Biden's attempt here and actually have the Border Patrol just take back control. That just flipped that. It's just so what the heck. But at the same time, you take a step back and look at this. No, it makes total sense. That's a lot of money that he's not getting anymore. That's a lot of money that his supporters are not skimming either. That's a lot of money that is not being made through charitable contributions and fundraisings, because it's not him that's looking good, looking holier than thou through these efforts. In point of fact, he's really not doing anything except complain and complain and gripe and complain. I want to say the B word, but he's griping and complaining, and that's it. So he's mad as all anything, and he's willing to go as far as trying to tell you guys that these atrocities are done, which, for the record, he says there's rape going on here at the San Antonio Haven sanctuary. He has no proof. There's no testimonies. There's no nobody confiding in him or confiding to the law enforcement. There are no investigators checking this out to make sure that what he's saying is true. He just went in there. It's like he's trying to give the impression that he went in there, saw these atrocities and these crimes, and then came out and said, look, this is what's going on. We need to turn over control to somebody else right now. One of our guys. We need to give it back to Border Patrol. You see, that's what we're looking at. And that's just what's so dumb. And, okay, so that's also the least worst case scenario that I'm thinking as to the reasons why Greg Abbott did this. One of the more horrifying things would be, again, back to his sexuality. Is he partaking in it? We are talking about somebody that shook hands with Trump, who, much like Bill Clinton, has shook hands with Jeffrey Epstein. You know, it's quite possible that we're looking at somebody who's shaken hands, who's on the same level with Trump and Clinton, no differently than that Gates guy over in Florida. So far, everybody here in the South, politicians here in the South, you know, they have this sex offender label being pointed at them. So who's to say that, how far off am I thinking that he's actually a part of the trade as far as human trafficking goes? He's claiming that it's just a bunch of Mexicans that are doing it. Is it really? What about the consumers? What about the people that are buying? And just out of curiosity, how do we know that it's cartels? Remember, cartels bought AR-15s and guns and, you know, AKs and stuff like that. They bought them off of American merchants. Cartels bought American guns that are made here in America. So how in the world are we to believe that it's just them, the cartels, that are in the human trafficking business? What about the buyers? And what about the ones that have actually walked off out of the 5,000 missing kids from 2014 to 2018? What about that? Who's actually selling them? Because if they already made it into captivity through the Obama and Trump administration, how is it that the cartels are the ones that are guilty of this? These kids and people got captured and placed in the holding facilities. The mess is clearing up, and when it turns out, we're finding people that are missing from these holding facilities and these cages. They're missing. They were caged. I seriously don't think that this crap that my Texas governor is claiming is true. I don't believe him. You know? Remember, religion is the tool. It's not the driving force, but it is the tool. People out here are listening to this and they're believing it. Somebody like me can't. Just because nothing adds up. Nothing adds up. It's a wild accusation that's not proven by fact. There are no investigators on this. There are no criminals that have been caught claiming, okay, you got me. Yeah, we're part of the traffic and all this other crap. None of that's been taking place. So how in the world does he know any of this? How in the world can he make me believe that he's not just running around throwing accusations? Because technically, that is what he's doing. Just running around throwing around accusations. There's none of those. There's no crooks caught. No evidence to the fact there were no investigators to bring up evidence to top it all off. There's nobody listening to the testimony. Okay, 2014 to 2018, during both administrations, there were plenty of cases being built and brought up and dragged out and doled out and ignored because Kaepernick took a knee. All this other garbage that everybody used as an excuse to ignore. And now that everybody's paying attention, the only one that's talking is the one that's making all these wild accusations. It doesn't make sense. It didn't make sense in the beginning when they said, oh sure, there's sex offenses, but it's just the kids that are doing it. You know, that didn't make sense then. This stuff doesn't make sense now. It's total BS. And honestly, I think it's about time that an investigation, as long as we're following somebody like Gates with human trafficking and illegal prostitution with a minor, illegal sex acts with a minor, as long as we're looking at him, we might as well, whoever's in charge of this really needs to look at my governor, okay? You really need to take a look at my Texas governor, who's making these wild claims and wanting wild claims of sex trespassing and wanting control to be maneuvered back to the people who are doing the sex trespassing, okay, the rape. You've got the state governor, okay, is trying to get those very same people back into control. Why? Is it really the money? Or is it worse than that? Is he a part of this? Is he a part of this? I think that's a very fair question to ask. Why would somebody want this to take place? Why would somebody want this to be abolished and given back to control to the people who were originally causing this much harm? Now, again, that's the worst case scenario. I'm still stuck on the money. I think he's making big bucks doing this. I think he's actually not giving a damn because of the simple fact that, it's not stopping it's not stopping everybody else that's partaking into human trafficking. I honestly think he's getting his cut. I think he's just getting his fair share, his cut out of the profits of the year. It's $1 billion a year business. I have not seen one leader of either side of the railroad tracks, claiming to be the sole entrepreneur, with the exception of Epstein, with the exception of Jeffrey Epstein, somebody who was already rich but was making more money catering to the rich with this illegal activity. So I mean, it's just, it only makes sense where you've got one, you've got another. And where you got one using power, political power of the wealth to get away with it. Well, I think it only stands to reason that you got those with political power to be doing the same thing. Epstein wasn't a politician, but he was sure as hell was catering to them. That's usage of his power. That's usage of political power. That's an abuse of political power. And if my governor is not doing it the way Jeffrey Epstein does it, it shouldn't be a surprise with him wanting Border Patrol to regain control. It shouldn't be a surprise that he's partook in it as a leader. No differently than Gates. No differently than Senator Gates. No differently than anybody else that was participant all the way with Jeffrey Epstein. Or even Harvey Weinstein. I mean, I know that's an entertainment level of trafficking, but I seriously doubt that guy stopped at the politician. Selling a child to a politician was beneath Harvey Weinstein. I doubt that was beneath him. So here we are right now, a wild accusation, with an attempt to have a certain agency regain control. It's weak, but it was an attempt. It's a weak attempt, but it is an attempt. And I'm on my last minute, so I want y'all to just think about it. Try to look into it. If anybody can connect these dots, please post them. Okay? We'll catch you later. Y'all stay safe. It's Thursday. We're another day closer to the weekend. Y'all have a good one. Stay safe out there. Chris of Chris's Comments, out.